Mr. Chairman, good to see you again. Thanks for coming into the studio.
Good to be here.
The federal government shutdown has directly affected small businesses, as I'm sure you've seen and heard from constituents, though, especially the ones that rely on federal contracts. And there are so many of those that people may not realize. Are you getting pressure from those businesses to try to find a solution to this ongoing shutdown?
We're starting to hear from them.
What are they saying to you?
Well, what they're worried about, are they going to get paid? When will they get paid? I mean, if you sell something to the federal government right now, you're not going to get paid. Yeah. And this whole thing goes so deep on Main Street. As you know, I chair the Small Business Committee in Congress. I'm a small business owner myself. And small business is worried because, the SBA is where a lot of people get their start, for example. SBA's closed down. Loans are on hold. You can't get a loan for payroll. You can't get a loan to stay in business, be in business, or whatever. So it's affecting that. And then you got the suppliers that do business with the federal government. Am I going to get paid, and when am I going to get paid? So it's a real problem, and none of this, Jay, should have even happened. I mean, we passed a continuing resolution back on, I think, September 20th. That was the same resolution the Democrats had voted for 8 or 9 times under Joe Biden. But we passed it to keep the federal government open, and now, of course, stuck over the Senate. We all know Chuck Schumer shutdown is what everybody calls it. And it's a real problem, and it's a problem for Main Street, because here's the deal: the economy is fixing to break loose. I believe that we're going to get maybe 2 or 3 more rate cuts before the end of the year. That's going to send this economy exploded, and because it's pretty good right now with the rate cuts. So we don't need to be having a problem whether we have the business of America being open or not.
How deep could this shutdown affect Main Street?
Well, it could cut off its cash. I mean, it could cut off the access to capital, and in any business, Main Street America, access to capital is the most important thing. And there's a lot of businesses that don't have the ability to go to a bank and borrow their money, but they do through the SBA. And we've had more SBA involvement in action since November 5th than we've had in years. People coming, they believe in the economy, borrowing money, and so forth. And then to have it just cut off is a bad deal. But look at 75% of the payroll, 75% of the workforce in America is small business. 99% of businesses in America are small businesses. So we are drastically affected, and America needs to open up. And all the things that Democrats want to talk about, health care and immigration, all this kind of stuff, we need to do that after we open the government up. We passed a clean CR. They had a chance to do it then, but they didn't. But let's open the government up. Let's put America back to work. Let's get people getting paychecks again.
The longer this grinds on, the worse it is for small businesses and for Main Street. But how long do you think small businesses can sustain the politics of D.C.? Are we talking weeks? I mean, at some point, if SBA loans aren't going out, this isn't good for
No,
payrolls.
it's not good. And how long can they sustain it? A lot of businesses, as you know, actually operate, and people pay their bills week to week. They live week to week. And your small businesses are mom and pops, and they open up in the morning, they close at night, and they hope to hire 1 or 2 employees, and that's how our system works. So it's a serious issue, and again, it didn't have to happen. And I wish I could say to Chuck Schumer, look, forget your political career, forget AOC, do the right thing. Let's get a vote out of the Senate, and let's get the government open, and let's start doing business again, and so forth. But we need to do that.
What kind of timeline do you think, though, that we're working on here for small business? Because they could run out of money at some point here.
There's no question, and as I said, small businesses sometimes go week to week. So, we're starting to hear from businesses now that not sure they can make their payroll, not sure that they can buy their inventories. I mean, if you can't buy your inventory, you have nothing to sell, then you don't generate sales, you see, and so forth. So it gets it gets deeply rooted, and Main Street and suppliers are the first guys that get hit.
Yeah, it is cyclical in that sense, indeed, though. Democrats say Republicans refuse to negotiate. Republicans say reopen the government first here. There's a lack of trust in D.C., and this is not a new thing with this shutdown. But how do you restore that? Because that needs to be the foundation of moving forward.
No, you're so right, and I'm old enough where I remember Democrats, Republicans agreed to disagree. They didn't swing at each other and fight. They agreed to disagree. And the old adage of Tip O'Neill and Reagan, visiting after hours and so forth. But that's long gone. And the shame of it in Washington is the town is driven by anger. And I don't care what field you're in, you can't be angry every morning. You might be mad, But anger takes over, and we got a situation where everybody's angry. If you're for it, I'm against it. That game over, and that we can't run our government that way. And we got the greatest country in the world. We've got the greatest people in the world. We need to turn them loose and let government pull back. I've always said I want government to do three things: collect my taxes, defend my borders, help me with the infrastructure, and get out of the way. And I still believe that.
Democrats say if the subsidies to healthcare insurance companies expire, that the price people pay for health insurance is going to increase drastically. And as you know, that affects a lot of small businesses in Texas and across the country. Can businesses sustain that, though, if these subsidies, this $40 billion paid to keep prices down for regular Americans, if that goes away, if their costs increase drastically?
Well, of course, if subsidies go away, which is what the Democrats want to keep, it again shows that Obamacare doesn't work without subsidies. But businesses, again, when you choke businesses from selling, from doing business with their customer or each other, whatever, it affects everything. And we need to get going again so we can have this debate. We should have had this debate before we passed the continuing resolution. But because it passed, and because I think that President Trump is deified by these people, they don't want him to have anything good happen. They came up with this situation. Well, I want this, this, and this, and this before we pass it, and that should have been done. There was a time to do that. Let's get the government. But isn't it interesting that they won't pass what they voted on for 8 or 9 times under Biden? That's amazing to me. I don't get it why they wouldn't do it.
Is there any room for compromise here?
Well, I think there should be, and I think government should have some compromise. And you can compromise.
But you're in leadership. You have a say up there.
Right, and you can compromise, but you don't have to give away your core. And I'm in the car business. All right, I compromise every day. I mean, I tell people, when you come in, I hit you up here when you come to see me. You hit me down here, and we make a deal in the middle. And there's no reason we can't do the same thing, and you don't have to give up your core values. We need to find out what we agree on and get that done, and what we don't agree on, just slide it over here and come to it at a later date. But let's get done what we agree with. And surprisingly, I think people would be surprised that there's more than not that we all agree with.
Are you suggesting that to the speaker at all, or are you talking back channels to him to say, hey, let's reach a resolution on this?
Well, I mean, I think he wants to. If he was here right now, he wants to reach a resolution. But we reached the resolution by passing the CR. I mean, it's like we want to have a separate vote to pay the military. We want to have a separate vote to pay FAA. I mean, the ground tower guys. We already had that. We've already passed that. We're paying the military out of the CR.
But isn't it not unusual for the Senate to come back and say, listen, we want to change this, that, or the other? I mean, you guys take up things like that all the time.
Oh yeah. So, but it'd be good if they haven't come back with anything. Yeah. I mean, we're just sitting there, and so they haven't come back with anything. I'd like to look at something, but at the same time, I'm not going to vote to extend Obamacare for a year. I'm not going to vote to loosen the border. I'm not going to do that because I voted for what the Clean CR says. I agree with it this time. Let's get business open.
As a member of Republican leadership, do you accept any responsibility for the shutdown?
Well, I don't know that. I mean, I can accept responsibility on anything. I'm a congressman, so it gives me that much responsibility. But I did what I thought was right, and I voted to open the government up. I didn't vote for a shutdown. I voted to open the government up, and I did the right thing.
The president scheduled to leave in a few days here for a trip to Asia. Should he be leaving? With this shutdown ongoing, wouldn't that just prolong things?
Well, I don't know what he can do. I mean, we still have to do the business of America, and he's on a roll right now with what happened in the Middle East and where he's going and so forth. And he's our CEO. He needs to keep working. Nobody works as hard as he does. So I think just him hanging around here to get something done is not how his time should be put down. I mean, he needs to go out and again sell America and keep America safe. We need to do our job here, and now the job is in the Senate because we did it in the House.
Let me ask you two questions from the headlines today here. In the shutdown here, the president is moving ahead with demolition of the East Wing to build the ballroom there. A lot of people are seeing the pictures of the facade of the East Wing coming down. What's your reaction to that, this century-old building here?
Well, so I don't know that I know exactly. I mean, I know what you're talking about, of course, but I'm not so sure. I have been told that what we're tearing down is not the historical part of the White House. So that's all I know about that. But I mean, if you show a wrecking ball tearing in the White House, I mean, that's a little heavy. But that's not what I understand they're doing. He's going to build a ballroom. Each president builds something when they leave. But that this part that they're reworking is not an original part of the White House. So.
What was your reaction when you saw those photos? Because I think everyone had a reaction when they saw that.
Well, my reaction was he's building his ballroom. I mean, that's what we'd expect coming out of President Trump. He's a deal maker, and he does it in great ways and so forth. So I didn't really think much more than that.
And last thing, this is a headline I saw today. You may have seen the same thing. Senator Cruz saying that Republicans need to take seriously the No Kings protest we saw last weekend. More than 7 million people protesting around the world. What was your reaction to what you saw out there?
Well, what I saw was candidly a lot of older people, people with hair my color, out marching around. I don't know what they were trying to say. I guess that Trump's a king. They don't want that. But I think if 7 million was the number, that's a lot of people. But there's also a lot more than that. Sat home, went to church, went to ball game Sunday, and weren't worried about the King March. And so forth. So I think you have to take it seriously. You always have to take your opponent seriously, whether it be sports or in business. You have to realize they are and what their strengths are and what their strengths are not. And I think that he's right when he says we have to take it seriously, but I didn't put much into it. I thought it was a gigantic failure, to be quite frank with you.
And you've been in D.C. for a few minutes here. How long do you think this shutdown will last?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you an answer. If I'm right, I hope you'll remind everybody on your show I told you. If not, just forget it. But I think we'll be there at least till Thanksgiving.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a record.
I think we're setting the record today or tomorrow. You know, look, I think it very well could happen. Now, if we'll see what happens with these bills to pay the separate bills. The problem with the separate bill for the military, we've already voted to pay the military.
Right. It's part of the CR.
Part of the CR. So I think it could go as deep as that. I hope not. I want to get back up here and do what I got elected to do.
But if that happens, I mean, that would severely impact Main Street and small business, wouldn't it?
No question. I mean, I'm not rooting for the shutdown. I want to get back up there, and each day it goes by, it's harder on Main Street. Remembering that Main Street and small businesses, 99% of the economy is generated by these businesses, and we got to get the economy going because it's ready to go.
Do you think that this shutdown is going to result in small businesses having to close?
I think there will be some stories of small businesses probably having to close from a cash flow standpoint, and there'll be some that will have success stories on what they did to create cash flow and so forth, like you do in every business. But I'm sure there'll be some because it's an interruption, and a lot of small businesses and people operate their finances week to week.
Small margins.
And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to happen. The Schumer shutdown did not have to happen and affect these small businesses.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the time.
It's good to see you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.